Hello, and welcome back to Minecraft. In our last episode, we did a bunch of work getting the start of our village finally put in and also making area for the farmers so that we could start getting golden carrots so that we have easy access to food whenever we are running low. We weren't fully able to finish every single one of the projects that I wanted to finish in the last episode because I was still recovering from being sick, and I'm finally, after over a month, starting to finally feel better, and I'm starting to get my voice back for the most part. Today, I think we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be trying to make some huge strides on the project here in my village. We have been working on this place for a very long time. We have a lot of buildings put in. We have a lot of work still left to do. This is honestly the biggest project I have ever done in Minecraft. I've talked about this a few times before, but in any of the worlds that I've had prior to this one, I haven't really done nearly this much work. And so every single episode is the furthest I've ever gone in building in Minecraft. So when I undertook this huge village project, I had no idea how long it was going to take, or how demanding it was going to be, or if I was going to get sick of it. And I am unfortunately at a point where I'm starting to get sick of building these buildings that all are kind of similar because they all kind of use the same block style and everything like that. And I'm kind of getting sick of doing that. And I'd like to start working on something a little bit different. But I also don't want to abandon this project. This project means a lot to me, and I do want to see it through to completion. So, for the next few episodes, we are going to be trying something a little bit differently. Instead of building a building and putting the villagers in and getting one area done, I'm actually going to be trying to mass get everything ready so that I can build all of the buildings in one episode. We have four more buildings to do. We have the blacksmith, the textiles building. Way over there, we have the stonemasons. And just over that hill, we have kind of a fishing dock. Those are the buildings that need to be completed. And I've vaguely worked out what I want to do for each of those. And I have kind of a shopping list of the blocks that we're going to need to get. So today's episode is going to be all about gathering as many supplies as I possibly can, and we're going to make an area right up here to store them all. And then next episode, I'm going to power through getting every single one of these buildings in, even if it's just the exterior. That way, we can start to move on to the more unique parts of the village, such as mapping out the pathways and putting in trees and little POIs and stuff like that. So to get started, I'm going to set up an area here with a bunch of chests and a bunch of labeling for all of the blocks that I'm going to need, and then we're going to get going gathering all of those blocks. All right, I have our grocery list set up and all of our boxes prepared. I'm probably going to be preparing a lot more ingredients than we're going to be needing for all of these builds, but anything that I don't use, I can take back and I can use in later projects, so that's totally okay. So these are the main blocks that we usually use for each of these buildings. We've got smooth sandstone, stripped birch, we've got deep slate, brown glass, spruce, and I use tons and tons and tons of spruce. I use it for just about everything going on, from fence posts to details to the flooring, everything in there. We need a lot of spruce. I might even dedicate a second box to spruce. Then we're going to need extra grass, moss, bone blocks to kind of bone meal everything, as well as dirt. And finally, over here, we have all of the ingredients that we're going to need for our details, for our roofs. And I'm not going to read all of these out because this is a lot, but I will kind of walk by slowly in case you want to get a quick glance before we go and start gathering everything. And then our final box is going to be lanterns. So from this, we're going to have a pink roof, a brown roof, a white roof, and a black roof. And I'll let you guys try to guess which buildings those are going to go to. As a reminder, we have a stonemasons, a textiles building, blacksmiths, and a fisherman hut over in this side. So you can kind of guess maybe which one of these roofs is going to go where. And in the next episode, we'll be able to see if anybody is correct. Now that I have all of these set up, it's time for me to get started with gathering them. And I think the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going to our storage room, which is in the roof of our farmer's building, and I'm going to see how much of this stuff that I have and go ahead and bring it over and see what we've got before we even get started going and farming things. I've gathered everything that I could from our storage building, and I've also kind of set myself some goals here. So I'm going to be using wheat seeds as kind of a marker to tell me how full I want like the supplies that I'm gathering. So how full I want these chests to be. So for the smooth sandstone, I want to fill all of these slots with smooth sandstone. Do I think I'm going to need that much? No, but it would be nice to have just in case so I'm not running back over there in the next episode while I'm trying to build. For the stripped birch, since these are only for these corner blocks on the buildings, I don't think I'm going to need a crazy amount, but I definitely want to make sure that I have enough. So I'm going to try to go and fill up this amount. Deep slate, decent amount. The brown glass, I'm going to do some of this regular and then all of the panes down here. For the spruce, I use so much spruce, I want to fill this entire chest. Genuinely, I want this whole chest full of spruce because even if I don't use it here, I'm going to use it in later projects. Doing really good on this chest already. Basically done with it. The only thing I need to do is bring some bone blocks over. I know I already have everything that I need for this chest, so this one is done basically. And then I've set up some markers here in these chests to tell me that I only need about 3 stacks of each of the blocks that I'm going to do here because the roofs don't usually take an insane amount of stuff. And I've made some very small progress on some of these things. Only had 2 diorite over here, which is kind of funny, and no progress over here. And I found a few lanterns. I'm not going to try to go crazy with the lanterns. 2 stacks should be plenty, I hope. That should at least get me started on everything that I want to get done. And then over here, I also have some blocks that I found in my storage that are going to help me with these that need to be refined a little bit. This is a lot of supplies to gather, but I think since we're already here in the village, we're going to go ahead and start with the spruce first. Mainly because I need such a crazy amount of it, but also because our farm is right there, so I don't have to go very far to get started on it. And if you haven't seen our spruce farm before, this is just a regular manual farm, and I have a bunch of spruce trees that grow over here, and I spiral my way up, and I get to the top, and then I dig all of them down all the way to the bottom, and I keep planting them as I go, and I kind of alternate between this spot and this spot to get everything gathered up. So with that said, let me go ahead and get started. I got the first section chopped down, and we did a pretty decent amount of gathering from that. Not too bad. We'll obviously need to do this quite a few times to get everything that we're going to need, but I don't think it'll take that long, because that didn't take more than a minute or 2. And obviously, sometimes you get lucky with bigger and bigger trees, and those will help us out more in the long run as well. I'll see you guys again when I have an entire double chest full of spruce wood. We have a wandering trader with nautilus shells. I'm going to buy as many as they'll give me. These are always going to come in handy if we ever want to make any more conduits. So I went ahead and just go ahead and got my emeralds so we can grab those. Definitely needed. And I'm finally done over here. He showed up just as I was finishing. I filled this barrel over here, and then I also filled this barrel over here. And we had a little bit of excess up here as well. So not too shabby at all. We are all done with what I wanted to get done here with the spruce. Here we go. That is a full double chest of spruce. Again, I don't think we're going to need this much, but we always use plenty and plenty of spruce. So it's going to be nice to have in the long run and to be able to use it whenever we're going to need it. And that kind of marks this one as complete. A lot of these, I think we could probably go gather what we have and see how close we are to finishing them. So that might be the next task. Particularly this chest. Like I said, we're basically almost done with this chest, so I feel like we could probably finish this off right away. I'll also bring as much deep slate as I can fit in my inventory as well, and I think we'll work on those, getting those done. I'm actually surprised to see that we really don't have that much deep slate remaining. So we're actually going to need to go mining for deep slate. I'm kind of surprised by that. I went ahead and filled up Muskegg's inventory with some of our supplies here, and I'm going to go grab a little bit more, and then we're going to go see exactly how much deep slate we need, because that might be something we do pretty soon. I've started to work on getting some of the brown glass that we're going to need. I'm going to need to get some more brown dye, I think, and probably some more sand smelted into glass. But I was also down over here because I realized we probably already have all of the wool that we're going to need. So I'm going to grab that so we can get that checked off the list as well. We're going to grab 3 stacks of pink and 3 stacks of black. And I'm realizing while I'm here that it looks like they are out of shears, so I should probably restock those as well. There we go. They're all going to start getting sheared as soon as they start eating grass again. So that'll get that kick-started back into gear. I'm in our smelting room, and I've started smelting up some more glass because we need that to be able to complete our brown glass. But I've also been working on other things. I went ahead and I got the diorite that we're going to need, the calcite we're going to need, the magenta terracotta, as well as the white terracotta. We only have a little bit more inventory space here. I might go ahead and head straight over for now because I would like to get working on the deep slate. Well, here is this chest done, so this one and this one are complete now. We have enough of this type of glass, but I want to be working on this type next. I'm just going to leave this here because this will end up getting converted into the panes. Here's all of our pink wool and all of our magenta terracotta, our white terracotta, our calcite and our diorite, and our black wool. We're not doing too bad on deep slate over here. We only need about 14 and a half more stacks to be able to finish our goal for this chest. But we do need a bunch of deep slate over here. We need to fill these 9 as well. So that's 23, a little bit more than 23 stacks of deep slate that we're going to need for all of our projects here. And that's going to take a little while, so I think that might be the next project because that would be marking off a ton of our list here. I've cleared out most of my inventory. I need to fill pretty much every single one of these empty slots with deep slate, and I have my ender chest so I can put a few in there. And I've also went ahead and equipped Goblin's Greed. That's my fortune pick, and that way we get cobbled deep slate rather than silk touch deep slate. We definitely don't want that. And I'm down here on the path that leads towards our trial chamber, and the reason for that is because eventually I want to decorate this. And I'm going to need to clear out some of these extra walls anyways for that, so that way we can actually put in decorative walls. And so I'm going to go ahead and start down here with getting the deep slate that I need. I just finished mining out this side, and we got a really decent amount of cobbled deep slate. And I started working on this side when I remembered we have a chest over here from when we last came this way and we built this railway in the first place. And I was going to put my extra tuff and stuff in there, and I opened it, and we've got a bunch of cobbled deep slate in here, so that's definitely going to help us. All of this stuff is silk touched, so I'm definitely not going to be taking that with us, but stopping over here definitely helped with everything that we're doing. And I went ahead and I set this down because I'm going to go ahead and just fill that up and then continue on the way back and see what we get. And there we go. Both sides of this tunnel are dug out, so now whenever I have the time to work on this project, I've already made some significant progress on it, and we ended up with a pretty decently full inventory. The only extra things in here are a tiny bit of iron and tuff, and then of course we put a bunch in our ender chest as well. So that should be plenty of deep slate for the entirety of the project that we're working on, and that makes me quite happy. That's a huge thing checked off our list. So here is this chest full. This is the main supplies one. And then we need some for our black roof. So let me go ahead and fill this in as well. We'll need some of the supplies out of our ender chest. And that should be plenty for what we're going to need. And I might store maybe a couple of extra stacks in here just in case as excess supplies. But I think that's good for all of the deep slate that we got. A handful of the items that we're going to need today, such as the sandstone, the glass, and a couple of the glazed terracottas that I have listed, like that one, and that one, they're going to need smelting. And our current smelting setup over at the base is kind of mediocre. So I've been thinking for quite a while now that maybe that needs a little bit of an upgrade. I don't think I'm ready for an automatic smelter or, a redstone smelter. I don't have enough knowledge to build one of those myself, and I am not really looking to follow a tutorial right now. But I think that I could at least expand the area that we have so that it smelts things a lot faster and is a lot more usable. So, as sort of a pit stop in our gathering, I think we're going to go ahead and work on that next. So, this is our current smelting room. It's a very small room, and we only have 9 furnaces in here, and as a result, only 9 cauldrons in here. These cauldrons don't fill in incredibly quickly, and sometimes I run out of fuel while I'm still trying to smelt things. It's been a little bit of a problem as I've been working on things. I think this room definitely needs an upgrade so that it's a lot more user friendly and less frustrating in the future. I'd like to maybe be able to double the amount of furnaces that I'm doing. That way I can go through, 18 stacks at once instead of 9. And I also think that I need to upgrade my lava system so that there's not just one cauldron per furnace, because this ends up never being enough lava for the amount of work that I need to get done. For the upgrade of this room, we can't go this way because our storage room is right there and we'll bump into it. And we can't go that way because I believe our bee farm, yeah, our bee farm is right down here. And I still want to be able to make the room look nice. So I think we're going to head back this way and make this room longer. I think I'm going to multitask while I am working on upgrading this room. I don't want this room to go to waste, so I think I'm going to go ahead and start getting some stuff smelting while I start extending this room and planning out what exactly I'm going to be doing to make this more useful in the future. Didn't take very long to clear out that space, and I've kind of gotten a layout for what I want to do here. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to extend these. These are only 3 on each side normally. I'm going to extend them to be 5, and that does mean I'll have to figure out exactly how I want to do this because I don't know if I want these big blocks pressed up against the supports. So maybe I'll have to use maybe some more trapdoors like this or something like that on the side to hold the lava in. We'll figure that out. The other thing I want to do is I want to change this centerpiece. I want to have this area here kind of end up being a blast furnace section. And I think I might go ahead and put them underneath like this one is here so that you can do that. The center one will just be a extra cauldron with lava in it since I won't be able to access a furnace from here. There's not really a good angle to get a furnace or a blast furnace from underneath there. So that'll just be some extra lava source. We will continue our regular furnaces along the side, like over there, and we're going to continue them over here. And then here in the back, I'm just going to have an extra area just to gather more lava so that I have more fuel when these don't fill fast enough. And I hope that will be enough for us to be able to keep this smelting area going a lot further. I think the upgrade to our smelting room is all complete now. It actually didn't take that long to do. I think the thing that took the longest was going and getting the lava. I went all the way down to our lava pool at the bottom and got a lot of it. I didn't feel like waiting for everything to build up in the cauldrons as I was working. As I mentioned before, we've got blast furnaces here in the center and every one of these spots except for the middle. We've got all of our regular furnaces on the side. I did make a few minor changes back here. I decided that I didn't like the layout here, so I decided to extend the room just a little bit more so that I could have this little area back here that is just for lava gathering. And the design up here is a little bit different than it is in the rest of the room. I needed to use something in the corners that was different than the trapdoors since you can't put double trapdoors down. So I went ahead and went with these grates so that way we can still see the lava back there because the lava does provide light to these rooms. And while I was working on this, I was working on getting all of this sandstone smelted, and we're nearly done with the amount of sandstone that we need now. I think I'm waiting on these ones, and maybe a few over here. No. I didn't need to do those ones. I think I had those while I was working on the previous batch. So just these ones, and then we will be done with sandstone. And in the meantime, I was also working on mud bricks since I needed them for the floor anyways. And we have our glass, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go grab some more brown dye while I'm waiting for these to finish up. That way we can get all of those brown glass panes done as well. Here we go. We've got all of the mud bricks, and I've got just a tiny few extra, which I'll throw over here in all of our extras chest. Next, let's work on getting this brown glass converted. Probably didn't need to make that much, but you know, that's going to be plenty. I'm sure I'll eventually use all of it. We can put the extras over in here, like usual. Now I think it's time to utilize some of the stuff that we have left in here and bring this back. And there we have all of those crafted up, and we still have plenty of dyes and stuff left, which is pretty exciting. We have a visitor. He's griefing our base. We will allow him to continue. Looks like all of our glazed blocks are ready for us finally. Along with all of these glazed blocks, I finished all of the stripped oak wood, and I also grabbed blocks of iron. We're going to be using those in one of our gradients. I have area set out for 3 stacks of these, but I think this should be plenty. I'm going to try to use these sparingly because that is quite an expensive block to use. So I think for now, this will have to do. If we do end up needing any more, I did find that iron vein a few episodes ago, and I can always go back down there and get more in that case. While I was waiting, I went ahead and I decided to go ahead and fill both of these barrels in here with lava buckets. And I'm going to start storing extra lava in here so that I never run out. As long as these remain full and these are constantly working, I should be able to smelt anything I want to my heart's content in here and not have to worry too much about it. I think that's a good plan. Our pink blocks are really starting to look good in here. So are our brown blocks, the white blocks as well. And we're nearly done with all of our black blocks. We have spent a lot of time at home, but I think the next thing we're going to do is we're going to head out. We have a couple of things that we're going to need to go grab that aren't at our base. And from down here, you can see I have stripped birch. I can farm this at home, but I think it would actually be faster and easier if I went to a birch biome and just kind of chopped every single one of the trees down there. I think it would go a lot quicker, and I would use a lot less bone meal to do that. Additionally, over here in our white palette, we also need birch logs, and that's going to be those like full ones, the ones with the little stripes on the outside. So we're not going to be stripping those, but we need those like fully rounded birch logs for this one as well. So I think that might be what I'm about to go do next. I'm pretty sure just beyond our swamp here, our base is right there. I think just beyond this, there is a birch biome. So I'm going to go head that way and see if I can find it. So that way we can kind of destroy it. I haven't even made it out of the swamp, barely. And here we go. We've got some birch trees. So let me get chopping and stripping them down. I eradicated the last place that we were at and had to move a little bit further on to find another birch forest, and I started eradicating this area as well before I finally ended up with as much as I was trying to gather over here. None of these need to be full blocks, they're just going to stay as they are here, but I was able to get these and completely make them into the full rounded pieces so that every side has this pattern, and so I think we're pretty much done here. I did gather a couple of extra supplies, nothing that's super needed, but stuff that'll be helpful nevertheless. We're going to go ahead and head home and drop all this stuff off, and then we're going to go on another adventure. Nearly done with all of our white blocks now. And we'll chuck these in here, and we got more than we even needed, so that's good as well. We'll go ahead and put those in the extras box over here. And then the next thing that we're going to need is sand for black concrete and pink concrete. When I was making the smooth sandstone, I used pretty much all of our sand, so we have none left. So we're going to need to make a trip out to the desert and start to gather some of that. On our way, we will pass by our super impressive, very high-tech iron farm. This iron farm is only to be attempted by professionals and has absolutely no leaks in it. So I'm supposed to be headed towards the desert, and I'm almost there, but I saw this on the way, and that reminded me we actually need rooted dirt for our project. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take a bit of time to collect this rooted dirt here, because it's kind of annoying to farm by hand. This is the best way to get it, is to find these azalea trees that lead down to lush caves and farm it that way. I got 3 stacks of the rooted dirt. Let's go ahead and call it there and get our way out of here. And I'm going to go ahead and cover this hole up so I don't fall into it later. And with that train of mind, I'm actually thinking since I'm right next to this jungle, I might go ahead and gather jungle wood as well, because I do need that. And there are some huge trees here that would be very helpful for getting that done. It only took cutting down 2 of those massive trees to get everything I'm going to need for jungle wood. I really only need the jungle planks, but I figured I might as well just gather the logs. That way I have, 4 times as many as I'm actually going to need in the end, and then I'll have extras for later. And after all that, we finally made our way over here to the desert. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the extra supplies that I gathered up in my ender chest. That way we have more room in our inventory, because I'd like to fill my entire inventory with sand. That really didn't take very long at all, probably less than 10 minutes. I didn't even go through a full day cycle. That's pretty good. And we just flattened this little area out right here, didn't damage the terrain too much. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and head home with all the supplies we gathered. And there we go. We have all of our pink and our black concrete. Very nice. And that leaves us with this much extra sand. I think we did a good job gathering that. Unfortunately, what we really need is the concrete and not the powder, so I'm going to need to work on this. Now we can check off even more supplies. Boom, bam, bang. That was such an incredibly productive trip. We only need 2 more things to be able to finish with all of our gathering. We're going to need cherry wood. I technically just need planks, but we're going to gather the full logs. And then the last thing is smooth quartz, which I am not looking forward to because I don't have stonemasons up yet, which means I'm going to have to go to the nether for that. And I don't know how much I still have right now over at my base, so I could end up spending a good amount of time in the nether trying to finish off the smooth quartz. But for now, let's go ahead and take the easy route and work on that cherry wood. I think for these, we're going to go ahead and be growing these at our base, because off of the top of my head, I don't know where there's an easy-to-access cherry biome. Last tree. That is going to be more than enough wood for us. We're not even probably going to use anywhere near that amount. We might even use just like one of these stacks. But like I've been saying the whole episode, it's okay to have extra. All right, it's time to see what the damage is. We don't have a lot. That was kind of what I was fearing. I'm going to break this down and use my fortune on it and see how much we get, but I don't think this is going to be enough for everything that I'm going to need. Yikes, that only made 30 blocks of quartz. Very yikes. I need, I believe, 3 stacks of quartz. So we are definitely going to be heading to the nether to see what we can get done. I'm going to grab some fire resistance and move my bed out of my hotbar so I don't accidentally do something really stupid. It has been a hot minute since I've gone into the nether, and usually when I haven't been in here in a while, it makes me a little anxious, so wish me luck. I'm going to go ahead and equip my shield now that we're in here. And I think I might even be doing some strip mining potentially for this, rather than wandering about, just to make things a little bit easier. I figured maybe we try to do 2 things at once, and so I dug all the way down, and we are at Y15, and we're going to hunt for ancient debris while we are looking for quartz. Woo! Very nice. Another one. Quartz and an ancient debris. Very nice. 2 of them. Another one. And another one. And another one. All in the same spot. Wow, 3 in one spot. We got enough quartz and a little bit extra, and I'm going to go ahead and head out. We also got 7 ancient debris. Not bad considering I wasn't doing an optimal farming method for these, and I don't think I was in a very good biome for them either, but I'm quite happy with getting 7 of them. That was honestly a pretty smooth nether trip. I don't even think I saw a single mob while I was there. We now have enough ancient debris for 2 netherite ingots, so once we find that upgrade eventually, we'll be able to upgrade 2 things already. That's quite impressive. All I need to do now is wait for these to smelt. We finally have the last bit of supplies, and now everything is full. Let's check out everything that we got done this episode. We got smooth sandstone, stripped birch, deep slate, grass, moss, bone blocks, and dirt, spruce, an entire double chest. This took forever. This took the longest of everything. Brown glass and glass panes. We've got all of these different blocks to make a pink roof. These are for a brown roof, a white roof, and a black roof. And then we got a couple of odd bits and bobs to help us along the way. This was a huge amount of gathering to get done all at once, but I think it's going to be worth it. And in the next episode, we're going to be taking all of these materials and we're going to be going out to the locations where I have set. So over there, one down there, one over there, and one way over there. And we're going to start building all of these buildings and getting everything put in place so we can start to finalize this village. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate you coming along with me. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again.